take about 2 minutes, hit pause, and please do the following warm-ups. Okay, for the first warm-up, you see that you have division. So the first thing you know is when you divide, you need to subtract your exponents with the same base. They both have a base of 3, so you do 3 to the 2x minus the whole quantity 2x minus 1. So you have to distribute that negative, and you get 3 to the 2x minus 2x plus 1, which 2x minus 2x is 0, so you get 3 to the first, which is plain old 3. For the second one, this time their base is just a quantity here. So you have x plus 1 to the 2 minus 3, which ends up being x plus 1 to the negative first. Remember, it's not happy where it is, so it has to go below, so you get 1 over the quantity x plus 1. Now we're going to talk about some classifications for these polynomials. A monomial, just like the prefix in it, has one term. For example, you might have x, y, xy cubed, negative 5, b, c. Each one of these is one term. There is no addition or subtraction. Notice there's no addition or subtraction in there. It's one term. Multiplication does not separate terms. Remember, terms are separated by addition or subtraction. That's how you can tell. A binomial, just like a bicycle has 2 wheels, has 2 terms. So maybe you have x plus y. Maybe you have 2xy minus 3y. Maybe 4a squared minus 3b cubed. Notice one term, 2 term, 1 term, 2 term, 1 term, 2 term. A trinomial is like a tricycle. You have 3 terms. So this might be x plus y plus z. It might be 3x minus 4y minus 2. All of the above have 3 terms. Now, if you want to find the degree, there might be questions that say find the degree of the monomial, which means one term. All you simply do is add the exponents. So for instance, if you look at letter A, it says find the degree of the monomial. If you look, you want to add up all your exponents. So you have 4 and 3. Those are your 2 exponents, so you have a degree of 7. E and D, they both have an exponent of 1. You only add the exponents on the variables. I'm going to add that in there so you don't get confused. So 1 plus 1 is 2. Notice there are no variables here. So you could have x to the 0, y to the 0, and those would both be 1 times 1, which would give us just plain old 3. So here you'll have a degree of 0. Anytime you have a constant, it's to a degree of 0. Now we talked about that funny word polynomial. And what a polynomial is it's simply a monomial or a sum or difference. Remember, sum is addition, difference is subtraction of monomials. To find the degree of a monomial, you take the degree of the term with the highest degree. Or you might say the greatest. For example 2, we are going to find the degree of these polynomials. For letter A, the degree of the first term has a degree of 7. The degree of the second term has a degree of 3. Since 7 is greater than 3, the degree of the polynomial is 7. For letter B, the degree of the first term is 2 plus 1 is 3. The degree of your second term is 4. And the degree of your third term is 0. So the biggest one is 4. So the degree of the whole polynomial is 4. Standard form. We've talked about standard form of an equation. There is a standard form that you will always see of a polynomial. This is how you will always work with polynomials. That contains one variable. It's either all x, all y, all z, is written in the terms in order from greatest to least degree. The leading coefficient of a polynomial in standard form is the coefficient of the first term. The best way to understand is just to do it. Example 3 says, write each polynomial in standard form, then give the leading coefficient. So the first thing that I'm going to do is underneath each one of these, I'm going to say the degree. The degree of this first one is 1. The degree of the second term is 5. The third term is 2. And this term, the last term is 0. These are all my degrees. So now for standard form, I need to write it in order from greatest to least degree. Always looking at your sign to the left. Always look at your sign to the left. So you get negative 7x to the 5th. That was my greatest degree. Then plus 4x squared. That's my next. Then plus 6x plus 9. I used all my terms up. Then the leading coefficient is simply the coefficient of my first term. So it's just going to be my negative 7. Let's take a look at letter B. The first term has a degree of 2. The second term has a degree of 6. The third term has a degree of 1. So when I put it into standard form, I'm going to go negative 4y to the 6th plus y squared minus 3y. I use them all up, and my leading coefficient is going to equal negative 4. Now we have some classification. These are something you have to memorize. You have to know these, and you are going to name. Some polynomials have special names based on their degree and the number of terms that they have. So if something has a degree of 0, meaning it's a constant, it would look like, for example, over here, we'll put some examples over here. It might be 3, it might be 7. The name it has is constant. If it has a degree of 1, it might be x, it might be y, anything like that. Both of those have a degree of 1. It would be linear. That's what we've worked with so far. If it has a degree of 2, so that might be something that looks like xy, because they both have a degree of 1, and 1 plus 1 is 2. It might be x squared. That's going to be quadratic. If it has a degree of 3, this might be something that looks like x cubed. It might be xyz. That's going to be called cubic. If it has a degree of 4, that would be something like x to the 4th, something like that. That's going to be called quartic. Think there are 4 quarters in a dollar. 5, it's a tricky one. It's a kind of a cool one. It's not really tricky. It just has an interesting name. That'd be like x to the 5th, x, y, z, l, g maybe. And that's quintic. If something has 6 or more, you just simply call it the 6th degree, the 7th degree, 8th degree, so on and so forth. If there is only 1 term, it's called a monomial. 2 terms, a binomial. 3 terms, a trinomial. 4 terms, a polynomial. We're going to go ahead and take a look at some of these, but make sure that you have this written down. We're going to classify each polynomial according to its degree and number of terms. So we're going to do it according to its degree and number of terms. Well, first let's look, well, what is the degree of this polynomial? This has a degree of 3, this has a degree of 1. So the degree is 3. If you look back, something that has a degree of 3 is cubic. There are 1, 2 terms. If something has 2 terms, it's a binomial. If we called this one thing, we would call it a cubic binomial. For letter B, the degree, if you look, it's already in standard form, has a degree of 6, 3, 1, 0. The degree is 6. Remember, oh, these are the kind of easier ones. You would just say 6 degree. So it is a 6 degree, and the number of terms, there are 1, 2, 3, 4. If there is 4 terms, you simply call it a polynomial. So this is a 6 degree polynomial. And last but not least, letter C, this has a degree simply of 1. Its number of terms is also 1. So if I look back at the last chart, 1 degree is linear, 0 degree is constant. It is a linear monomial. So this would be a linear monomial. You're going to need to be classifying things here. Please try these on your own, just at the bottom of your note guide. Hit pause. Okay, the answers. In standard form, you should have gotten negative 8g to the 4th minus 2g cubed plus 6g squared plus 3g plus 5. The leading coefficient is negative 8. The degree is 4, so something to the 4th degree you would call quartic. And according to the number of terms, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terms. So something with 5 terms is a polynomial. And that is all. You can start your homework now.